Hey, Coach. What's going on?
Hey, how are you? Doing pretty good. Just trying to get through the rest of the layoff here, and it sounds like it's getting a little bit eased up, and summer's here, getting nice and warm and nice and hot here in Rockford. So all's good, all's good.
Yeah, we it was hot yesterday. It finally got warm enough. It was like 90 some degrees here in Rockford. So that was different considering that it's been a little bit nicer still before that. It was like 70s, 80s or whatever. But
Right.
the you go out and about, like we've been to Home Depot quite a bit, and there's definitely a mixture of people now at this point kind of starting to mask and not mask, it seems like, because there's no real restrictions that people are being held to like they were when, a week or two ago, it seems like. So,
Right.
but anyway, we we have a special guest that was going to be joining us today. We are kind of awaiting her to join on. Liz Johnson is supposed to be joining us today. Hasn't quite gotten on the stream yet, so you and I can kind of chat for a little bit, maybe until she's able to join in.
Okay. Well, it's winding down here to open up our bowling centers in Rockford around June 26th. Sounds like we're on the board to go. Some of the remodeling has been ongoing, and I guess they're going to be ready to roll here in about 3 weeks. So that's pretty exciting. I know everybody's been anxious here to get back out on the lanes and see what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, I think, to be able to get kind of back going at things like normal. Obviously we've been doing this to kind of kill the time, plus maybe see if you get some people to come on that are part of the industry that can chat and discuss some of the goings on for themselves and kind of what life's like and what it's been like for them, currently. So the time with Chris Schlemmer was really nice. I thought that was a pretty good interview. Long, but it was definitely lots of information that he was able to share for himself and kind of the what Storm's kind of going through for their company or what they've been going through. And that didn't sound like they had too many changes really for them. Things were just kind of the way they were.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things going on with some ball launches I think are coming up and might have already getting ready to go that he was talking about too, which is very nice, which is something we need right in now. They've been delayed for a little bit, so I've been reading on Facebook. That's been pretty exciting to see that on board coming out.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously with June 26th coming up for like the Chicago area, and we're obviously included in that we'll be able to see bowling centers start to open back up. Hopefully that doesn't have any kickbacks to this point. I mean, it seems like things are going in the right direction. I mean, I've been out a little bit more often than I think I was originally, so I've seems like people are starting to come out even more. I mean, there hasn't really been a slowdown period, I feel, for Rockford. I've seen a lot of people still out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've been, of course, watching what's going to happen here with the all the major league sports, and I know all you viewers out there hopefully been able to catch up with some of the stuff too. I think NASCAR had their race in Atlanta, and we're talking about some of the ongoings with the baseball guys, and I know golf's coming up. First tournament is a sports guy, and it's going to be different to see these sports with fewer no spectators. I haven't got my mind around that yet, but at least we'll see that on TV.
Yeah, I was thinking of that the other day. It does unfortunately put a halter to some of the ways that things are kind of taken care of, just due to the fact, like, my son's in town, so I was like, man, it'd be really nice to go see a game if a game was going on. Because we used to go to see Cubs games every now and then. Just the experience being in the stadium and being able to give him the experience of seeing the field, for what it's worth. I never got to see it as a kid, so that was really fun. but not be able to do that, it's been tough to not have the thoughts to do it.
Right. Well, we've heard, I was going to ask Liz a little bit about the tough topic of the women's tour. Hope everybody knows they were, I think they were postponed, right?
Yeah, it was actually the whole season canceled entirely.
Cancel. Yeah, cancel.
It would be nice to hear her point of view. I'm not sure what happens or what's going on with her, but shooting a couple messages to see if I can get a hold of her. There's a mix-up in time somehow.
Yeah, hopefully she'll come up there with us. We back on this ladies tour now. It was about right now or very close to now. We were going to host the girls in Rockford at Cherry Bowl, weren't we? Pretty close to now, or?
Yeah, pretty sure that this past weekend we would have probably had found a champion. I'm sure, because it was supposed to happen. I think June 6th or so, I believe, if I recall correctly. It's tough. I mean, I know the men's side of it. I mean, they're both run differently, so they're both run separate from each other. I think the women it seemed like with the email that got thrown out, it just looked like they were concerned about the amount of stay and travel needs of the women to travel around. Traveling to somewhere and staying somewhere is going to be kind of in the thought process, I think, going forward. And I'm sure the guys do the same thing, but from their the spectrum of both sides of it, the guys are going to continue with their season shortly coming up, and then the women decided to cancel it all completely. So it's tough, but I mean, it doesn't mean it's going away forever. It just means that they're trying to be safe and trying to make sure that they can keep all their family members as safe as possible. And obviously, people coming out to watch the shows, they want to make sure that they're going to be safe when they go to all the places too. So, tough decision. I can't imagine it was very easy to make that. Can't imagine.
Right. I know it's pretty tough. It's something I would hope that they can really get back into, and we'll just have to see with all the sports, see how they're going to play out and come to light.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see some more of the. I mean, they did mention that they're going to do some small other type of shows. I know that the Lucy is still going on, which my wife and I are planning on going to go do, to go in and be involved in. They're still planning to do that. That hasn't canceled. So I assume that that's going to be considered a portion somehow of that, because there's lots of PWBA players that are involved in that. Excuse me. So I guess we'll just have to see what other extra events, because they said they would do some other stuff. I know they have the Clash coming up here this next weekend for the ladies and the guys also, I think, if I recall correctly. So we'll see Shannon, and we'll see Danielle McCune. So there'll be some small shows coming up for them, but just nothing big scale like the tour itself was going to be. So
sure,
I would assume see them in a lot of their other events then, to try and get involved in other things, considering that that side of it's kind of wrapped up for the year at least.
Right. Well, I wish Liz would jump on with us. I had a whole bunch of cool questions for her. Some things I would really like to find out, but maybe we can catch her another time, I guess.
Yeah, we might have to. I don't know. Not sure what the goof up was here, unfortunately. So sorry, everybody, if we don't quite get her on. We'll just continue to talk a little bit about some bowling maybe while we're at it, and call it an afternoon or something maybe. But it looks like Joe Syracuse has popped on, hoping to see us. Show some of the comments that are being said right now.
Yeah, Joe, I hope to see you again soon too. We need to get back on the lanes for that Sunday Senior King, so you can beat me like you always do, and have some fun, and it'd be a good, cool thing to get out there. I know a lot of folks out there don't realize that the seniors over 50 in Rock, we have a little tournament every Sunday where we win practically zero money, but we have fun trying to beat each other up, which is pretty good. Hi, Mike. Brian Copeland. Wow. You been drilling any balls? You had any equipment, Brian? No, because you haven't been able to.
No, he's actually shot me a message or two about the getting some stuff drilled up. So need to get a time set up for him to come on in and do stuff. Mr. Mike Calhoun, how are you, Mister? How are you, sir? We think we should just talk a little bit about did you see any of the PBA stuff at all, Coach? The Strike Derby stuff?
The what, buddy?
The Strike Derby that they just did?
Oh, yeah. I need to get a little information on me on that. I'm not sure I was updated too well on it.
It's okay. They just over the last after the last weekend, this last weekend, I should say, they did a strike derby that you had to have a certain amount of strikes within like 120 seconds. So you got two minutes full to strike as much as you could.
I do remember that now. Yeah.
They did a bracket for it, and I won't say who the winner is in case people haven't seen it. So, but basically, they got a starting point where they had to strike as much as they could, and that seeded them. And then when they got done being seeded, they went up against the other player. So, like, if you had the top score, the lowest score went against the top score guy as far as strikes, the amount of strikes. And then if you tied, the amount of string of strikes that you got was what made you win against the other person. So there was Kyle Troop was in it. Anthony Simonson was in it. Chris Prather was in it. Sean Rash was in it. Let's see who else. Sean Maldonado was in it. And I feel like I'm missing players. Bill O'Neill was in it. TJ was in it. Tommy Jones. Tommy was the first one to bowl. It was funny to watch because the guys are actually wearing shorts. Like a lot of them were wearing shorts and like nice dress shorts, you know. And
right.
It was just funny to see them going up and throwing a shot and then not even looking or posting their shots and coming back and bowling the next lane to try and throw a strike again.
Is this when they went rapid fire? How fast I could go running?
Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, it was entertaining. So the comments that most of them had for the majority. Oh, EJ Taggett was another one. Sorry, I missed EJ. Another one of the comments was pretty regular for the majority was tiring. Oh my gosh, that's a lot of shots in a row to try and do, and you get like 14 to 20 shots was pretty common. Like that range was pretty common. So it was funny to hear them say how gassed they were at the end of some of the shots they were doing.
Yeah, I don't think that would work on the men's senior tour. I don't believe we can.
Probably not. Probably not.
Maybe who could get the first five?
Maybe just have to, then the guys they were wearing masks before they got into the area.
Oh, okay.
And then they took them off the bowl, and then a lot of them would put it back on to walk out of the session. And all of the people pretty much around everywhere else seemed like they were wearing masks. It seemed like all the shots, a couple exclusions here and there, but Kimberly Pressler did her normal interviews, but from a little farther distance, kind of thing. So that was kind of different. Just seeing some of the ways that things are kind of being done currently, at least anyway, until maybe some things get to a point where it's a little bit more back to normal to some degree, but we shall see.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't recall when the tour is going to go back out. Do you have any clue or whenever it's been announced or down the road?
It's short. I believe even on air it was announced like when they were going to kind of get back to it, but they have the Clash of the Titans, I believe they call it, that's coming up this next weekend. Where Shannon and Danielle will be bowling, and then I want to say there's at least a couple guys I think that are involved in that still. Um, so then they're supposed to have that coming up, and then the tour is going to kick back up at some point, like shortly after that. Like they're going to kick the PBA back up again. So little differences between the PWBA and PBA as far as thoughts of what they were going to do and how they're going to do it, but they're run by different people. So, I think they're both just doing what they feel is best interested for their companies, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, I saw in Bowler's Journal here recently where the Bolero people are doing real well, and the CFO, CEO of that's got a really good future for what's coming in like I said, in the future, which is pretty exciting. Paul Colombani, how are you, buddy? Good to hear from you.
What's up? Yeah, Paul and I talk quite a bit. He tends to call me, and then I miss his calls quite a bit, so I feel bad about that. But he and I have been talking considerable amounts just because of him being closer in the Chicago area, following all the CDC stuff, and we chat about it quite a bit to see kind of what plans of attack, so to speak, are going to be like. And I believe he's in a Bolero, so there are some differences and some things that have happened with his center. So like they have to wait almost completely until like the 26th for him to even get in there, if they're going to like allow it to happen. At least the last time I talked to him, and he tried to call me yesterday and get back to him, but this whole situation's been tough. Like it's just hard on everybody because there's surrounding areas now that are starting to open up. I mean, Wisconsin's seen a lot more bowling, I think, now because they've opened up sooner than Illinois did. So a lot of the locals, like Brandon Mooney we talked with last week, has been bowling a lot of stuff up there, or bowling in that area for at least getting back into practicing and stuff like that. But they've got a tournament that Brandon just asked us about recently that I think we're going to attempt to try and go to shortly after the 26th if we can help it. So
that'd be great. I just got a picture or two of my girls here in Rockford who just couldn't take it anymore. A couple Harlem girls, and they're up there bowling at least twice a week, and a lot of other kids here are going up there twice a week, and they're all excited to be able to run up there and get in under the lanes, and, get tuned back up again. So looking forward to seeing them once we get started.
Yeah, it should be. I mean, it should be interesting, I would think, for. It should be interesting to see how that all kind of pans out. It's just it's funny how we pretty much, I think, started the whole breakdown of kind of being put in the corner, so to speak, of being at home, being told that we had to stay at home and not do anything, and then you look at it now, we're going to be close to being the last people, I think, being let back into it, which it is what it is. You just kind of deal with it the best you can. And my kid got a haircut the other day, which was fun to be a part of. We went to the same place I think you got a haircut at. They come out, they give you check your temperature, and then you go in, you get your haircut. And so he had to go in by himself and hang out. And the lady comes out, the first thing she says is, "Man, he can talk."
Sure.
Yeah, he can. He's really good at chatting.
I had a 2-hour wait for me to get in that day, so it was a little rough, but it was worth it.
Oh yeah. Did they say they were going to text you or something like that? Is that I thought that's what you said to me last time.
Yeah, I wasn't going to hang around in the parking lot, so I went and did some things, and she texted me, and we ran back after a couple hours.
Yeah. We actually Kim with her technology thing. She was like, "Well, let's do it online." So then we did that, and then we had time set up to go. But we still had to kind of wait because they were still kind of dealing with people anyway. But at least it's a way to kind of get started back into it. I know I've had my fair amount of conversations with customers that have been wanting and friends that want to get back into it sooner than later. Wanting, to set up a time to kind of get, come in and do stuff and get it all kind of ready to go. And it makes it harder for us because, you see the Wisconsin side of it that's opening up. So it's like, well, we're in a center that's not 100% open yet because it's not allowed to be. So it becomes a little discouraging, but it's all necessary to make sure everybody's safe, I think. But at some point, it's, you get to a point where you're thinking, man, can we just get back at it like everybody else has kind of been doing already?
Yeah, I know. It's just recently for us here in Illinois too, where we can go out and have dinner. And of course, you have to be outdoors and distancing and the whole thing. But a lot of people here are very excited to not be cooped up anymore and get out there. And retail shopping is the same way. A lot of times when I want to go out, I was going to go to one of the sporting goods places. I get halfway into the parking lot and I don't have my mask, so I have to run back and get it. I always forget. But yeah, Liz, we're sorry she couldn't come today. That's just too bad. And maybe we'll get her another day.
Yeah, hoping that we can maybe reschedule it then. Trying to double check to make sure I didn't miss something in her message while I was just looking at it. So no harm, no foul. Just must have been some sort of a mix-up or something happened. But it's okay. We can. We're going to plan on seeing Ron Bragg this coming up Friday. He's got that in his schedule to be able to see us, and maybe we can reschedule something with Liz that maybe works down the road. Once again or something. Yes. So no harm, no foul. It's our apologies. I thinking it as we were sitting here talking, I'm like, man, I probably should just put Coach's Corner on our thing instead of trying to always assume that the person will be able to be here all the time. But it's okay. I hope all is well with her and whatever's going on and whatever may have happened. Sorry if there was a mix-up. So,
Okay.
But I mean, if anybody has any other chats with us that wants to have us answer some more questions, we're here. We more than likely love to chat with you guys about it. Certainly enough stuff going on now, getting started with bowling back again a little bit here and there. So anything new with you, Coach? Are you excited about maybe getting back to do a little bowling a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I've been pretty laid back. I've got a youth adult league coming up here in the end of the month, which is Joe Janowski, a local boy from Hononegah. We're going to bowl doubles, and it's very, very popular here in Rockford. There's 40 teams of doubles youth adult, which is out of 42 lanes. So the only reason they don't have 42 lanes is a breakdown, which hardly ever happens. But there's a waiting list right now. So if you can imagine that, 40 lanes of summer league youth adult, and it's very competitive. And a lot of kids that come in are like anywhere from 100, and it doesn't matter if you bowled in it, you know about the league.
Yep. I'm going to be bowling it.
If you bowl 130, it doesn't matter. If you're top players, it doesn't really matter. There's smart money, which is a fun thing to have, and so it's just I think we got 8 weeks coming up before the fall starts, so that ought to be a pretty good league to get back into.
Yeah,
I'm sure I'll throw the first 5 practice balls real slow.
I think so too. I was just seeing that today. I was scrolling through. I really sometimes dislike the algorithm of what the Facebook kind of does now, because it seems like I don't see posts until like the day after it was posted, which is weird. And I'll follow them. I'll do everything I can to keep a track on it. But like Don Carter's, I've been seeing quite a bit of because of all their changes that they've done, and I share a lot of their posts. And I saw that they were announcing that the adult youth thing was going to continue, and I thought that was pretty awesome. So I'm also supposed to be bowling in it this year with Mark Olson's daughter, our strong lefty. So I look forward to being able to do that. It's going to be neat to be able to get back at it.
Yeah, that's going to be fun time. Get back out on the lanes with the kids, and like I said earlier, they're really anxious to go. But yeah, that's something coming up. Pretty much, Mr. Shockley's kind of boring in the summer, but outside of being here and nowhere to really go very often, but it's okay. I'm making do. Read a little bit. Glad I got Bowler's Journal so I could read something about bowling.
No doubt, no doubt. It's just, I can't wait to be able to throw a few shots. I think that it's going to be interesting to see how the body reacts to doing it. But I know personally, I'm going to go in and attempt to make sure that things are kind of good for my fit, because I'm sure things have changed with being out so long and not doing it day in and day out pretty much. I mean, I was doing a total of 4 leagues, I think. And then 0 and no, there was tournaments there too. So I just going to have to be something that it'll have to be looked at just to make sure things are still good. And it's a good time to change it if there is a change that's needed. So
I think for everybody out there that's coming back, if you haven't already, going to be some situations where you do need a grip check, changes. Maybe your thumb will get smaller, maybe it'll be bigger if you've eaten a little bit, but just depends on what's going on. You never can tell, but check that out. I'm sure a lot of the kids have grown in the last period here of 2 or 3 months, and maybe their spans changed about 1/4 of an inch, or although some of them maybe more than that.
It's very possible. You know, from seeing it daily when we were doing you're doing all your lessons and I was working in the shop, constantly. You see it more than I did because of seeing so many kids come through with you doing the lessons and stuff. That it's not very uncommon for them to outgrow their spans really quickly when they're in the growth spurt.
Right. I was wondering if Mr. Calhoun is still on there, how it's going with you. Oh my gosh, look at that.
Mr. Doug Byerly, Hall of Famer himself.
Your legendary doubles partner for your wife, and they always dominate doubles tournaments in most cases. But good to hear from Doug. Yeah, he's a legend. He's one of those Mike Dole guys that's got like 50 or 60 or 70 300 games. I cannot keep up with him.
It's a billion. He's got to have a billion, I think. I don't know. I miss bowling with him. I was bowling with him just one night out of the week. Usually, like last year, I was bowling 2. So it's hard not to see him on a regular basis like we used to. But I think the one thing that is going to be fun is like they do a King of the Hill doubles every year. That from during the summer you can bowl with another partner, and it works just the same as the normal King of the Hill does, where they split the top to the top like so many people. And I guess that is going to start back up. I think their date that they're possibly thinking about is starting back up around July 11th. And then it's going to go through August, kind of like it has in the past for the most part. So hopefully everybody can look forward to doing that. I know we're looking forward to being able to get out and hang out with people again.
Yeah.
But looks like we had, trying to make sure I was messaging or mentioning all the people that were kind of paying attention. It looks like we've gone through all. Lori Roberts is watching. Andrew Adler is watching. What's up, Andrew? Hello, Lori. We are probably nearing the end of this at this point, I think, Coach, because we had a plan to kind of hang out with Liz, and you had some questions that you had made up for us to do those, and we'll have to get with her and see if we can reschedule a different time.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, hope everybody's okay, and hope everybody's going to be able to get back to bowling sooner than later, and we can't wait to see everybody. So we will talk to everybody soon. See you guys.